Hello and welcome back to our video series. This is Professor B with you again, and today we'll be taking a look at conciseness and essentially how well we can write to the point without using extra words. And we have a cartoon in one of the first slides that illustrates this really well. So let's dive in and get to the point. All right, let's take a look at our view of conciseness. We talked about in the introduction. It's a way of writing that gets to the point very quickly. And as this cartoon tells us, the problem with non-concise writing is that you didn't reach that last period or punctuation at the end of your sentence fast enough. Here in the writing we see that strong academic writing says it in as few words as possible. Okay? So let's look at some ways we can eliminate wordiness. The first one being only write what you want to write. Nothing more, nothing less. You have a thought, put it down, refine it, and move on. To do this, you need to trust who you are as a writer and not embellish, not overstate what you mean. Once you have the words on the page, which we do in the drafting phase of writing, then you can go back and see what you can get rid of and keep the original meaning of your thoughts. Okay? Another tip or trick is to read everything out loud yourself. Make sure you have all your connections together, that your writing flows well from beginning to end, and that all your sentences support the topic sentence. Remember from grade school, middle school, high school, there is one idea per paragraph. You have a topic sentence and you support it, then transition into another one. Make sure in technical writing that everything you write are concrete and specific examples, and that you get rid of all these other things that we don't need, and we'll discuss these in the coming slides. Weak qualifiers, negative constructions, and those nefarious to be verbs, those state of being, and toss out our false subjects. We don't need them, they don't mean anything grammatically, and they certainly don't add to conciseness. Okay, so let's look at some examples in practice here. Our first wordy example at the top gives us a whole bunch of information about two people and how one could affect the other. Let's get rid of a bunch of the additional words. Okay, we have the introductory word, a false subject, it. We don't know what we're talking about, so let's rearrange it. Let's pull the real subject out to the front, Ruth's marriage. We can have our transitional statement here, and we'll also provide security for Naomi. This is much more concise and has a stronger, more concrete meaning than this does. Okay, our next example. Wow. Okay, something's going on in high school. I was in student government. We're getting very wordy about what's happening. Let's take the real meaning of it out. Okay, we were on student council for 3 years, and I saw enthusiasm destroyed because of the people that were entrusted to work with them. This is much more concrete than this, much more concise. Right? The economic situation of Miss Moody here was a crucial factor in the formation of her character. Too many words to say, and Moody's poverty also helped form her character. Clear, concise, to the point. Okay. In this example, we have writing about a book, and something happens between the author and he does this in the course of the chapter, or what we're truly saying is a chapter's title often reveals its thesis. Okay? It's designed that way. Right. Weak and intensifiers and qualifiers are words we add to sentences that really don't add meaning and sometimes make absolutely no sense. We found the proposal quite feasible. This is our weak intensifier or qualifier. It's feasible or it's not. Accurate, entirely accurate. If it's accurate, it is entirely accurate. That's the definition of the word. Same with typical. You cannot be fairly unique. Unique means one of a kind. You are one of a kind or you're not. So take a look at your writing, how you use these type of things. And if you'll notice the pattern, these are all adverbs. Look at that ly ending. So go through your writing and see which of these you can cut out. Okay. being specific and concrete. Okay? In both Orwell's and Baldwin's essays, the feeling of white supremacy is very important. Okay? What is the true subject or point of this? I don't know from reading this. So I'm going to bring Orwell and Baldwin out as the subject, and they truly are the compound subject. And what are they doing? They're tracing the consequences of white supremacy and its relevance. Okay. Getting rid of our to be verbs. The scene is taking place at night in front of the Capitol building. Right. Here is a to be verb. What does it mean? Let's take a look. The scene takes place. We need a stronger verb here. Get rid of this, use the root verb, which is take, and then our modifier at the end. The friar is knowledgeable about Juliet being alive. Okay. Here's a to be verb, here's a to be verb. How can we fix this sentence? This is a gigantic phrase to say the same thing that we know. The friar knows that Juliet is alive. We change this to be verb to be a bit stronger, and it's more clear, concrete, and concise. Here's another one, false subject. There are 2 pine trees which are growing behind this house. Okay. 2 pine trees grow behind this house. Clear, concise, better meaning. Eliminate redundancy is another tool we've got. Any student could randomly sit anywhere. Right? Well, this is all redundant construction. We can say students could sit anywhere. Okay? Here's some other redundancies that you might find in your writing a lot. Take a look at this list. You can download the slide deck and look at it. They all essentially mean the same thing when you point it out. Already existing. Yep, we know that. Okay? And our brains like positive stuff, so let's change our negative constructions into positive ones. Housing for married students is not unworthy of consideration. Negative, negative. How can we reword this to be positive? Housing for married students is worthy of consideration. We still have our to be verb here, but in this case it's perfectly acceptable. And we can simplify. This is a quote from Black Elk's autobiography that discloses his prophetic powers. This quote, got rid of the to be, from Black Elk's autobiography, discloses, we don't need that, his prophetic powers. Bunch of words we don't need, and it's stronger. It is frequently considered that Hamlet is Shakespeare's most puzzling play. False subject, to be verb. Hamlet is frequently considered Shakespeare's most puzzling play. We still have a to be here, but it is more correct than it was before. Okay, and here's the references for this. So let's stay tuned for some wrap-up comments. Well, that was interesting, again, and oddly enough, a lot of our writing techniques that we always talk about are employed in a different manner. Getting rid of our false subjects, being cautious in our use and proportion of to be verbs. Watch out for weak constructions, weak intensifiers, weak modifiers. Get rid of redundancies, okay? So take a look at your writing as it stands and look at ways you can go through and clip out some of the dead branches. That'll help you be more concise and get to your point more quickly. Thanks for watching. This is Professor B out, and stay tuned for more to come.